One day the whole world is going to be afraid of me, the life-changing moment that transformed Mike Tyson into Iron Mike. Mike Tyson shared a special bond with his early trainer and mentor, Cus D'Amato. There was one life-changing exchange between the pair which transformed him into Iron Mike and a savage in the boxing ring. The 13-year-old Tyson was a petty thief in a detention center when he was discovered by ex-boxer Bobby Stewart, who recognized his raw potential and introduced him to D'Amato. The Italian-American became Tyson's trainer, brought him into his home and was his legal guardian by the time of his death in 1985. But while Cus poured his boxing knowledge into Tyson and built his confidence, he was also hypercritical of his protege, and one of these moments led Tyson to finding the ferocious attitude that he'd carry into the ring as a professional. Tyson was short for a heavyweight, listed at an optimistic 5 feet 11 inches during his career, and was overweight as a teenager. As Tyson recalls in his autobiography, Undisputed Truth, D'Amato once told him out of the blue, "Man, I wish you had a body like Mike Weaver or Ken Norton, because then you would be real intimidating. You'd have an ominous aura. They don't have the temperament but they have the physique of an intimidating man. You could paralyze the other boxers with fear just by the way you look." The fighter admits he got choked up at the harsh comparison to two muscular heavyweights but hid his emotions and became determined to build an intimidating presence all of his own. Tyson responded, "Don't worry, cuz. You watch. One day the whole world is going to be afraid of me. When they mention my name, they'll sweat blood, cuz." And he wrote, "That was the day I turned into Iron Mike. I became that guy 100%. Even though I had been winning almost every one of my fights in an exciting fashion, I wasn't completely emotionally invested in being the savage that Cus wanted me to be. After that talk of being too small, I became that savage." It's eye-opening that any trainer could question Tyson's ominous aura, as he became the most feared fighter of his generation, but D'Amato's tough love clearly had the desired impact. To this day, Tyson feels a deep loyalty and a debt of gratitude to his first real father figure. But the pair had a complex dynamic. Tyson understood that Cus' devotion to him was purely because of what he could become as a boxer. As he once put it, "If I failed, Cus would get rid of me," and Tyson once described their relationship as like a soldier and his general. But D'Amato was also the first person to tell Tyson, who came from an incredibly tough upbringing in Brooklyn, that he could make something of himself. The first time he watched the 13-year-old spar 3 rounds, Cus told him directly that he would become the youngest heavyweight champion in the world, an astonishing prediction that came true in 1986, a year after the trainer's death. D'Amato was an uncompromising figure who stood up to the mob influence in boxing. But he was, as even Tyson admits, a bitter individual who didn't have a happy muscle in his face. The trainer had coached Floyd Patterson, a fast, gifted but vulnerable boxer, to the heavyweight crown in the 1950s. He kept his fighter away from #1 contender Sonny Liston, in part because of Liston's links to organized crime. But when the two boxers eventually met, Liston bludgeoned Patterson to defeat in 1 round. The peekaboo style D'Amato taught, with gloves held high and an emphasis on slipping punches with side-to-side movement, was criticized and the trainer was cut adrift from elite boxing by the 1980s. But when he discovered Tyson, Cus realized he had found the perfect fighter for his style, a short but stockier heavyweight than Patterson with explosive power and superior punch resistance. The pair were a perfect match, D'Amato, who wanted to wreak revenge on the boxing world, and Tyson, the troubled teen in urgent need of a purpose. The only issue was that D'Amato was in his 70s by the time they met and knew time was against him. At various points D'Amato would claim that boxing was 50, 70 even 90% psychological. So as well as honing Tyson's skills every day, the trainer would also work on his mentality, building Tyson's confidence and nurturing his arrogance by telling him he was unstoppable, but also being his toughest critic. Tyson has seemingly found peace in later life, but will still be returning to the ring to take on Jake Paul on November 15.